Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Valpo Football Weekly, presented by our friends at Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute. Brandon Vickery with you. Glad to be joined by the head coach of the Valpo football program, Landon Fox. We'll look ahead to the future of the program, but let's talk about Saturday's season finale against St. Thomas first. And boy, the Tommies narrowly extended the nation's longest home winning streak to 31. As you look back to Saturday's game, you were very much in the game. What do you see as the key as to what was ultimately the difference?
Yeah, just consistency in terms of number one, our ability to put points on the board. So you move the ball, and when you move the ball, then you gotta put points on the board. And so that was a big part of it. I thought defensively, for the most part, we're in the right spots. We're pretty consistent on that side of the ball, and then special teams. Did some good things there in terms of ability to fake a punt. And then, field position was a huge part of the game. Evan Mathis, again, did a tremendous job of hitting them deep. And, when you do that, it limits some of the things that offenses are going to do to you. So that's where it kind of helps you defensively. But we have to do a better job putting points on the board.
Yeah, tell me about some of those decisions in the game. You mentioned the fake punt, and what went through your mind calling for the fake punt in your own territory, and then also tell me about the decision that was a little more on the conservative side when you punted away at midfield on 4th and short and played the field position game. And take me through some of those.
Yeah, to me, the one thing with the fake punt, we had some adjustments in terms of what we were doing formationally. We thought we had it there, and something that Evan Mathis and I actually talked about, and we wanted to do it. And to your point, we got into that midfield range a number of times and just didn't know if that was the right timing based on the look that we would get. And so we had to be pretty aggressive in terms of when we were back up. And, just like we had seen prior in a couple of the other punts, it was there. And Evan did a really nice job throwing to Wade Abrams. And if he does throw it out there a little bit more, we may have ran for a little bit more. But we got the first down and extended the drive. And then, I do believe in terms of the field position game and making a decision, hey, let's punt this thing back and force them, to be able to drive. And both teams were struggling, really. I don't know if anybody really got in a groove offensively. And so, it gives us to have the opportunity. We had the ball. We had the ball twice there at the end of the game to go down and win the game. And didn't get it done, but those are the things that we're going to have to do in order to be successful moving forward. And that's kind of what you were talking about in the future. All these games came down to one scores. We have to be able to do those things late in games.
Sam Hafner was among the national leaders in tackles by a defensive lineman. How special was the season he had for you? What was it like to see him have that type? He's been good throughout his career, but to have that type of breakout year this season.
Yeah, it's just to see Sam grow. He was a guy that got here, and it just has a lot of, you see a lot of young men that come in, they just have to learn how to adjust. And Sam had a lot of success in high school through football, but academically, and he comes here and now he's back to square one. And he was a guy that, man, this isn't, it's a little tough for me in terms of the adjustment, but his ability then to believe in what we were doing as far as a program and help his development. And as he's bought in, he's continued just to really become a really, really consistent player, a really good player on our defense.
You have some players who have a decision on whether they're going to use their extra year of eligibility. What's your approach to those type of conversations?
Yeah, you and I talk about this. You recruit those guys. They're really good football players and really good people. And so, to me, it gives them an opportunity to play the game that they really enjoy. And I've never had a player who's, when they were thinking about this decision that they were going to make, I've never had a player who said, "Man, it bothers me that I came back," or I shouldn't have came back for that 5th year. But I've had a number of guys that said, "I wish I would have come back." And so, I just think there's a lot of value in the opportunity to come back, continue with your degree or a master's degree or a minor, what have you, but the educational piece and along with the ability to play football, I think it's pretty special. The reality is that real world, that will be there soon enough, and it'll be there for a long time.
You alluded to earlier in our conversation here, 5 of your 6 PFL losses by 10 points or fewer, 5 total 1-score losses for the season. And you look at some of the scores around the PFL, even this past weekend, in terms of teams you beat that are beating teams at the top. How close are you to being at the top? It seems like the margin is thin from top to bottom. And what do you have to do to get there?
Yeah, the I'll share a story, and obviously my connection with the University of Dayton and Mike Kelly, who was their former head coach, who I worked for as a graduate assistant, a mentor of mine, and had the opportunity to speak with him after that game, and he said just that. He goes, "You guys are only a couple plays away from being at the top of this league," and I said, "Coach, it's nice and all, but we're not." And he goes, "No, really." And so people see it, he sees it, but the reality is, we have to be able to execute in critical situations, in all three phases, whether that be in the kicking game, that whether it be on offense or defense. I mean, that's the key, and it's hard, especially when you're trying to do it for 60 minutes for 4 quarters against teams that have, are going to relatively have the same level of talent.
Let's talk about what the near-term future looks like now as a head football coach when the season ends. I think people have a pretty good idea what the day-to-day is like in season. You're looking at film, you're practicing. What's this point in the calendar like for you?
Yeah, it's just as busy as in season. You start to now get into the recruiting piece of it, and then the recruiting piece, there's become some complexities with that now as you look into the transfer portal, and you have roster limitations in terms of numbers and how many high school players you're going to take, and how many transfer players have interest in want to play, and so it's definitely it's something it's every day you're trying to figure out just how these pieces are unfolding, and so we have to do a great job in making sure that we're putting an emphasis on not recruiting every single day, regardless if it's now in season, in the summer and spring, but that's the lifeblood of the program.
There he is, the head coach of the Valpo football program, Landon Fox, and we will be dialed into what's happening in the coming weeks and months in recruiting, and look forward to the future of the program as we move forward with Valpo football. We'll talk to you again next time on Valpo Football Weekly, brought to you by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute.